All right, hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's delegating, broadcasting, transcoding, AI inference, or developing on the Livepeer network. We're here to ask questions and get answers. So we do have an agenda ahead of us. We have a Q&A. We're going to start off with a Q&A session with N, followed by a number of topics around AI usage, new broadcasters on the network, strategies for attracting stake, scaling AI, as well as Livepeer Pioneer's new app launch. So first off, let's jump into the Q&A session. N is with us. N is new to the Livepeer ecosystem. And I know you've already given us a short introduction. Why don't you give us a long introduction into, how you got into crypto, how you got involved with Livepeer. Give us the real intro, and then we're gonna jump right into questions. So,
Origin story. I love it.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, in my past, so I actually have a degree in chemistry. While I was laboring in lab years ago, I, had a friend, and this is again like, late 2019, to start talking about this crypto thing. And I was like, I've heard of it. I've heard of Bitcoin, right? But I never really got into it. Maybe was a bit judgmental in the past. But then, as the scientist I am, I was like, let me take a serious look, right? Let me read the white paper. Let me read, the Bitcoin white paper. Let me read, Ethereum white paper. Let me read, Uniswap white paper and see what this thing is about. So I did my research and like was blown away. I felt like I had like stumbled upon something that was going to be, or it already is, um, the next big thing, the next big leap forward in technology, especially around decentralization. I thought that was really, really cool. So at that time, I was kind of like, how do I get involved? Where's the serious people talking about crypto? And at that point, it was the run up to the 2020 bull cycle. And I remember feeling like, okay, I don't know where the serious people are because there's so much noise, right? As there generally is in bull markets. So I was like, okay, like how do I find the serious people? So I started a Twitter account, which is the Madam Cult Leader one I posted in the chat. And just kind of provided some like critical analysis of the space, my perspectives on onboarding and like my own experiences as somebody who was new and kind of getting into everything. And then I started a collective called Web3 Baddies, which became very, very popular. And we, at one point had hundreds of applications a week to join the collective. And I think it was about like 150 people and growing. Now defunct, but I was reflecting on that time, such a good time. Anyway, so essentially, I after Web3 Baddies, I had been one of the leaders of that community, and then was scouted by Wonderverse to be head of community at Wonderverse, and I was employee number 4, or excuse me, employee number 1 at that company. And I had built up their community over the last few years. And that had been an interesting experience because I was building community in the bear market. So as I'm sure Titan you can relate to, it can be very challenging. So I'm trying to think if there's any other pieces I want to pull on. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good introduction to me. Unless you have any follow-ups, I'll stop there.
No, that's a great introduction, and thank you for sharing. Yeah, I see that. I just clicked on your Twitter, and I see that. Your channel is basically all around crypto, and it's a pretty cool addition to have you a part of our community. Let's talk about your role with Livepeer a little bit. You mentioned that previously, or sorry, that you joined the Livepeer ecosystem team, and your role is in community building. So what is the role of program manager, and what are your goals?
So I think right. So the kind of job description was mainly around the grant program and trying to figure out how do we grow that, how do we build out the builder pipeline. But I think adjacent to that is going to be, for example, I have been building and now running the uh, video AI startup program, and Also, I'm going to be taking over the leadership and some of the other programs that will be running in Livepeer ecosystem. So that's kind of like, the main role. But I think one of the reasons I was hired on was because of my, dare I say, prolific? No, my community building experience and the perspective I might bring for the Livepeer community, and understanding like how do we grow this culture that we're building here, and how do we get more people to engage. I think the delegator situation is a good example of this, right? How do we increase delegators and get more people engaged in what Livepeer is doing in the space? One thing I also want to mention just about my history is I've known about Livepeer for a long time. And it's so incredible to be working here because I feel like it's Livepeer is such an industry leader and originated so much in Web3. So I'm excited to kind of add to that history here.
Yeah, definitely. Livepeer is definitely an OG. It's been around a long time. And we get that a lot, I think, is a lot of people go, Livepeer, oh man, you guys are OGs, long time, been around, doing new things. So one of the what was the first proof of stake protocols that did this whole delegation. Yeah, it's cool to see people of hearing about us and then joining years later and seeing like how they can. It's great to have you on board.
Thank you.
You mentioned you're kind of taking over this grant program, or you use the words video AI startup program. What is the video AI startup program? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I'm happy you asked. So essentially, the there's an application page. Maybe someone can post it in the chat, maybe. But essentially, it was as we build out. And again, I'm still onboarding, so I'm not the premier expert yet. But as the AI subnet is being built and coming online, essentially, we are working with a number of startups and collaborating there, um, and basically having them build on that and see what incredible things they come up with. So our engineering team will be working closely with them, and yeah, I'm really excited to be leading it alongside Rich, who's, I don't know his exact title, but ecosystem ops, I think. So yeah, it's so that's the general. I don't know. I don't want to say too much. I'm not sure how much details I can
Yeah,
share.
yeah.
But that's the general kind of scope of it. And hopefully, as the program goes on, once things can be maybe a little bit less secretive, we will start sharing about the amazing things created from that.
Yeah, that's great. Rich is a great guy, so I hope
I know.
you
Yeah,
enjoy.
Rich is my boss.
Yeah, yeah. I hope he's a great. We had some good drinks in Denver together, and he's a great.
So fun.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm glad to hear you're working along him and alongside him, and so I won't pepper you with too many Livepeer specific questions because I know you've just joined, and so it's hard to until you get into the thick of things. It's hard to just spit out things that you're going to be working on when you don't quite know. So I want to pull back and learn a little bit more about you. Your Twitter says Joke DAO Maxi. What is your
Mm-hmm.
involvement with Joke DAO?
Oh, so are you familiar?
Funny enough, that's how we used Joke DAO to come up with the Livepeer Innovators DAO name and logo. So
That's so
we
amazing.
ran contests on Joke DAO. So
For the startup program, I'm planning to implement alpha. No, I'm planning to implement some Joke DAO stuff, which I'm really excited about. So funny enough, Sean, who's one of the founders of Joke DAO, was actually my really good friend and collaborator at Web3 Baddies. So a lot of the leaders of Web3 Baddies, including me, went on to do pretty big things in the industry, and Sean is one of those people. So Sean and David started Joke DAO. So I was the first. You can look at my wallet address, but I was one of the first people playing the joke race. Like this was way years ago at this point, but the first joke race I was there, and technically I'm a joke whale um, which is amazing. So I was playing Joke Race, long time ago, and at the time when Joke DAO came online and Sean was building the protocol, what was so funny is that like at that time I was thinking about, now that L2s are coming online, right? What is the application, right? What do L2s unlock? And my hypothesis was it unlocks this more social aspect, because now that transaction fees are lower, right? Compared to ETH L1 during the bull market, which is like 30 to 50 to even $100 a transaction. Now, if it's 1 cent or less than 1 cent, near zero, we can start to imagine the social games on chain, which was not possible before. So Joke DAO was one of the first experiments that I thought was so compelling about on-chain social like interaction, on-chain consensus building, that was accessible to everyday kind of users of blockchain tech. So yeah, that's kind of why I joined in early, and was a huge proponent of it. And happy to say I took a hiatus from Twitter for the last few months, because startups are hard, so I want to take a break. But after I took a hiatus, and I'm coming back, seeing how big Joke DAO has gotten, and how much it has evolved, and it's just super exciting to see friends go on to do really big, cool things. So anyway, I definitely give Joke DAO their flowers in the sense that they were really like front and center when L2s came online, some of the innovators, and thinking about what we can do now that transaction fees are much lower.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, Joke DAO it was still called Joke Race, I think, last year when we used it. So they were just
Yeah, Joke Race.
yeah. So we used it for coming. It was so easy because you could just have on chain votes on a
Isn't it so
name
fun?
and a logo, and you can kind of just put stuff out there and have people vote like on chain for it.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to open it up. I've been peppering you with questions, but I'd like to open up. Anyone else in the community want to talk about N's background? Any questions for N and in their role? Like what? Put it up now. Jump in.
If there are no questions, feel free to ask me more, Titan, or we can wrap up. I don't mind being peppered with questions. I I do a lot of speaking in my just personal life, so it's always a pleasure to chat.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I always like to just have it open so that people can jump in. John, did you say something or?
Yeah. Oh, hi. I just wanted to say hey to Ian, and I'll be looking forward to working with you on the AISP. And I was just curious if you have worked as a program manager in the other roles before. It's a much needed role with what we're doing, and so glad to have you here. And just curious if you've worked in that role before.
Yeah. So I don't know, with startups, you don't, I was like wearing many hats, as they say.
Hmm.
So I haven't had the explicit title, but in my roles, I have been doing program management, especially with community, right? That's one big program. And then also at Wonderverse, I actually did program and product management, because I basically built the current live product at Wonderverse, and acted as sales and like marketing, did all the things. But basically helping develop that product, because I was one of the originators of it. So basically figuring out how do we organize that, how do we organize marketing, how do we organize sales, how do we develop our sales playbook, and all that good stuff. So it's interesting. The product actually is about um, micro grants, and essentially how do we start to think more critically about who we're rewarding in communities, Web3 communities. So essentially, if somebody's like saying, "Hey, I want to help out," having a bot that tells people what the organization wants them to do, what the DAO wants them to do, and then rewarding them for meaningful labor towards the organization. Something I identified in the bull, but also the bear market was, people wanting to help support, but not having the direction needed, and then also, kind of airdrop farmers kind of claiming that they're adding value by holding the token, which is true in some ways, but in a deeper sense, what does it look like to have a meaningful contribution to an ecosystem, not just holding the token? So anyway, that was what that product did. So I, built that whole thing out. So yeah. So
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
then also just in my one other thing in my I'm less I don't know if it's non-professional. No, not non-professional. I help run a local nonprofit. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I do a ton of program management for that, where I basically lead, events and digital, but also mostly IRL events. So we run a festival, and have to develop all that stuff too. So there's in my outside of 9 to 5, I do a lot of program management as well. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Glad to have you on board.
Yeah,
And
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. And for anyone in the audience or on stage, including you, John, if anyone has any thoughts or feedback about the Livepeer community or about programs historically or about grants, feel free to message me. I'm always welcoming, folks' thoughts and perspectives, so we can hopefully continue to build this community and ecosystem together.
Very cool. I like it. And so wait. So did I hear that correct? And you're joining the Livepeer AI SPE for doing a program managing there.
So I think that I will be helping again. So I'm still getting a grasp on everything I'll be doing, but I'm pretty sure I will be helping with the program in some way. I don't know if I'll own it or what the scope will be yet, but that is on my onboarding sheet. So I think that will be something I'm engaged with. To what capacity, I'm not sure yet.
Someone's gonna manage these god dang developers. Just run around, run around like chickens. No. Love to everyone at the AISP. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah. Any more effort and help we can get with that front, I think, is going to be just immensely beneficial to the adoption of the AI work, job types on the network. So very, very cool.
yeah, I'll add that Rick has been a really great technical lead, and I think where we can use the help is with that sort of relationship management with startups, as well as
Yeah.
kind of just organizing things at that product level.
Yeah, totally. And I think that 1 second. I think that's something I've been hearing too, and hopefully something I can help alleviate. Again, my main focus is the grant program, but I think larger relationship management is an important piece of our builder pipeline, right? So ensuring that as people are engaging with, um, our tech, ensuring that they can grow in the ways they want, apply for grants, apply for potentially the startup program, and then continue to build their ideas and manifest those into, a meaningful company.
Thank you again. Glad to have you, and yeah, that'll help us focus on writing more code too.
Yeah, glad to be here. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to add from my Web3 journey so far. Oh, one thing I will say is I think one of the things I love about Web3 is just how I feel like at least the culture that's been built over the last decade, decade plus, is so unique and refreshing for me personally, where I feel like it feels a little bit less maybe corporate, more community centered, and that's something I like really deeply appreciate. And I just love the kind of degen meme like nature of things. I think it creates a much deeper camaraderie than anything I've experienced working anywhere else. So I don't know. That's just something I really love about the space, and yeah, you'll see me, posting on Twitter and being, acting a fool. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm professional, I swear. But like, it's just such a good time, and that's something that I hadn't found in the rest of my life professionally. So coming into Web3, it's been such a breath of fresh air.
Very cool. I think does anyone else have any more topics or questions for N?
I have an off-the-topic question. Sublime here. Somebody was mentioning programming. What platform is Livepeer typically developing on? The .NET, React, Objective-C, C#? Just kind of curious.
Mostly Golang, and then there's some C when you get into the FFmpeg side of stuff. We're also, with our AI platform, obviously Python, that stable diffusion stack.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Cool. All right, and what we'll do is we'll wrap it up there. One last question to ask you though is kind of what we've talked a lot about Web3, and I usually ask this to people. It's just like, what does Web3 mean to you? Like what what inspires you about it? What take it however you want. But what is Web3? What is your definition of Web3, and what does it mean to you?
I think really central to Web3 is this idea of decentralization, right? This idea of, as we move into the future, how do we want to interact with each other and interact with the world around us? And for me, decentralization is a very key aspect or key ethos of Web3, and also access. I think that Web3 provides greater access for those who maybe do not have access. For instance, like just decentralized banking infrastructure, even like something simple as like Western Union and sending money to family in a different country. Blockchain technology makes that not only cheaper but potentially faster. So one of my favorite projects is actually Salo. They were in L1, now in L2 of ETH, and just kind of like, what does it look like to have prosperity for all, which is one of their kind of taglines, which I find very inspirational. And there's another startup that is talking about how do we share in AI, and I know that Livepeer is working on AI as well. So just like really asking, in a world, in the technologically forward world, what does it look like to break down walled gardens? What does it look like to connect with each other economically across the globe, and not leave folks out of that potential enrichment? So yeah, I think that's like, more, kind of woo woo. That's kind of what it means to me. But, more practically, I think it means, a decentralized, permissionless blockchain technology, and using that for creative means to connect with each other, whether that be economically or socially. So yeah, that's what it means to me. And to what I was saying before, I think it also has to do with like this new culture that we're building together, that is maybe different than, because of course, right, 2008, Bitcoin came out of the bank, oh my God, the bank crisis of 2008. So like, what does it look like to have a more transparent and less corrupt world around us, infrastructurally? So yeah, that's kind of what it means to me. It's like breaking down that kind of like corporate culture in some ways, and finding maybe a more human path, and how to connect with each other. And that's also why community is so important to me, because community is all about how do we connect with each other, and build value together, and hopefully enjoy that process along the way.
Well said. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do a Q&A chat and let us learn
Of
more
course.
about you and what your who you are and what your role is with the Livepeer ecosystem.
All right, Titan, it was great chatting, and hopefully I'll be, a fly on the wall in some of the community meetings in my first month, just to kind of get a pulse on where the Livepeer community is, and hopefully help out in the ways I can. So yeah, great to be here, and thank you for the thoughtful questions, Titan, and I hope everyone listening to me yap. So have a good one.
No worries. Feel free to stick around. We got more topics, but thank you for joining us. Okay, I want to move on to some topics. We had the Livepeer Pioneers launched a new app, which is producing awareness for the ecosystem for delegators and orchestrators, which also then goes into my next segue into strategies for attracting stake. So let's get Livepeer Pioneers up here, and could you explain to us what app you've launched and what the goals are around it?
Yeah, so no, basically the goal so basically started also for me as a delegator. So I was always finding difficult to track my rewards. Of course, I can always go to the Livepeer Explorer and log in, but for example, the Explorer at the moment is not very mobile friendly. So for example, I know we have the bot. So there is this bot I think was developed by Pires in Numerous, I suppose. So I'm also using that one. So and then we noticed also with other friends that there was this lack of a simple app, also especially mobile friendly, because most of the people are always on the go. They prefer to use their own smartphone. So we thought that it could be interesting to have your own dashboard. So a dashboard easy to access and also to see, how much your rewards you are accruing, and also, it seems also trivial, but also, given the dollar amount, so or the dollar or euro or pound, so based on your currency, so it gives also a perception to delegator, even with small amount, to see it has a value to delegate your token rather than holding, because we would like to have less people holding the token and understand that they can help secure the network, they can participate in the network, and they can just sit and relax and and getting more like year and day after day. So and I think so also by showing this, so we believe that it will somehow stimulate more people to be on board. And also with the app, we want also to have links to all the articles and tutorial, and also there is also the section with the interview with the orchestrator. That is one of the projects that we are putting a lot of energy. So we also invite here delegators, so sorry, orchestrator. Also, we also sent you the empty Titan to you. Also, I think Sublime-node. Also, I suppose you are an orchestrator. So, and I think also Mike. So all the orchestrators. So we would like to feature on this series, because also we have experience with other protocols, specifically with the graph. And so we noticed that, also in the case the delegators are always a little scared because they don't know who they are, this orchestrator. There is always the skepticism. So, we would like to, really bring this human touch and show that, there are real people, because this is, crypto for a lot of people outside. The space is still, very unknown. It's still like, black hole. I don't know. You don't know who is behind. They think they are, most of people, they can be just hackers or scammers. But so we want to, make sure that, new buys, they understand that this is, a network of really passionate people that wants to change the world. They want to make an impact. They want to build a new internet of tomorrow. So, we want to give, this to connect people with our app, with our series of articles, with our Telegram group. And so that is basically the reason why we are building all this, let's say, connection with social and the app, to offer, several, options for people to enter the space. So it is a long journey because, for example, in the case of for the graph, it took us a couple of years to become like the prominent, community for delegators, and now, I mean, we are seeing like the place to go to ask questions. So, but yeah, I mean, we are not in a hurry, so we are here for the long term. So we know that it's a time-consuming effort, but yeah, we enjoy, I mean, the ride here, and we also, I think I can speak on behalf of our teams. We are 6 people, so we were very much impressed by the friendly. I mean, we know that Web3 is very friendly and welcoming. Specifically, the Livepeer community. I mean, we were extremely surprised because we didn't find any pretentious people. All people were so nice to us, and they supporting us, all the orchestrator. For example, we got already feedbacks from Marco Strong, and we, about the app, and we are already fixing. Our technical guys already fixing some issues. So it's always constructive. So I mean, we really love to be part of this journey. So we cannot be so happy. To have chosen, this project and to be here. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that it's a mobile friendly app. I like that you guys are building more tools for delegators to be able to, filter and search orchestrators. I think it's really powerful. So yeah, thank you so much for your efforts.
Yeah, but I said this is just the first version. So I mean, we really plan, to also improve the user experience, and to, of course, there will be bugs to fix and improvements. So so we just start today. So and we welcome feedback. So, and because we really want to make sure this is an app not for technical people, but for people that there must be no instruction, no guide to use an app. So we really want to to be super user friendly, yeah, and fast, and and useful.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and for those that you just scroll up a little bit in the chat, you'll see the link to livepioneers.app, where you can check it out. And if you're watching the recording, please head over to the link. And is there you can download it? Where's the link for downloading it to? Is it ISO? Is it on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store?
Yeah, no, it's just a web app. It's a web app.
It's just a web
so
app. Okay.
Just a web app. Yeah, no, we don't want to install anything. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Just bookmark it in your phone. Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, let's continue on. Sublime-node, you mentioned you had a topic around strategies for attracting stake. You want to share your question and what your thoughts are?
Yeah, so just started got my orchestra up running, and I've received a startup grant for getting up and running, and I'm just trying to see how some of the people who've been around for a long time, how they went about getting attracting staked for delegation on their particular orchestrator. I know some people have quite a bit of stake delegated to them. I'm just wondering, what sort of strategies they used to attract them in the first place, and then strategies they've used to retain their delegators. Thank you.
Anyone want to jump in with some strategies that can help Sublime?
Well, again, I can't speak because I have a decent stake, but I think one of the things that helped me initially was just being active in the community. I think getting your name out there, letting people know you have an org, talking about the types of things that you support as an orchestrator. When I joined, I was big on bringing Docker, enabling Docker in the community. So I got a lot of attention from some, I filed some grants, and I did some Livepeer forum posts, and, it's you got to put some work in to get there, but I think it's really just having and engaging the community at large, I think, is just a way that people can find out what you stand for and what you're all about.
Is it all right for me to talk about my orchestrator in the Discord chats, or is that something I should stay away from?
I'm sorry, what were you saying? If you can do what with your org?
So, we have an orchestrator channel, delegator channel, stuff like that. Is it all right to talk about your orchestrator and kind of what you're offering in there, or is it kind of better to keep that away from the actual channel and use it for chat about different things?
Well, I think the chats are good. I think, though, if you have a message and you really want to get out there, the Livepeer forum is a good place. I know a lot of delegators are, frequenting that forum. So if you have a series of posts you want to do, or if you have some, like, I know they had I forget what the actual, I guess it's Transcoder campaigns. They had a campaign page where everyone can kind of like post their org, tell them what they're about, why you came into Livepeer, like how to reach you, and just a way that you have a forum where you can just publish your, the ins and outs of your orchestrator operations and give people insight into what you're doing. So I thought that was one place, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the Discord channels. But I think, if you really want to get something out, it might be good to put a forum post out there and maybe share links within Discord for folks who can go read about it and see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've actually done that. I've done that. I was told by someone that saying too much about my orchestrator, the channels, might get me kicked, and that's something I don't want to have happen.
Well, you got to kind of feel the pulse for yourself. I think, beating the drum on, please stay with me, that might be something that people will get tired of at some point. But, I think if you're in the community, you're involved, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to talk and describe, some of your ideas and opinions. And I think that alone lets people realize, hey, this guy's got a good setup going on over there. I mean, we always talk about new rigs we're building. We talk about, what we're testing in the platform, and, all these things, definitely lead to signs of a good orchestrator, a good infrastructure.
All right. I guess I'll just, that's kind of the strategy I have been doing. I just thought there might be some, wonderful things. Like, I mean, I'm just really trying to get a good understanding here. I myself am a computer science degree holder, and AI is something I'm quite interested in. So I'm just trying to feel my way through because I think AI is the new thing that you folks are working on Livepeer, and I'm wondering, just trying to figure out how I can get involved in that and see how I can contribute.
Well, Rick from the AI SPE team, I'm sure he has a quadrillion things he could use your help with. He's got a long laundry list of small and large things. So
right, well, I'll reach out to him then.
There's more than plenty of work to go around in that AI subnet.
Okay. I mean,
again, these are my opinions. I think, the other part too is, delegators are here to get yield, right?
Yeah.
So they want to make sure that you have competitive pricing, so that, you're sharing the rewards, you're sharing the ETH fees. I think these are things that, differentiate some other orchestrators as well.
Right now my reward cut's quite handsome. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Now, again, everyone's got their own trade-offs. You are running your own infrastructure, so you have to manage that accordingly. And I think some people have gone with zero reward, zero fee cuts. I mean, there's a whole, a wide range of fee cuts on the network. So I think just being aware of that also is helpful.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else want to jump in there?
Any ideas, Titan?
Yeah, I think first off, just to answer, I think your first question, which was, will it get you kicked for talking about staking to your own node? And unless someone can correct me, I do believe talking about staking to a node is not a bannable offense. I'm pretty sure only Livepeer token price bannable if I'm mistaken, or spam, of course, stuff. I believe talking about just trying to attract stake in general is not won't grounds for getting you kicked. Is that correct?
I think you're right. I don't think you can get kicked for talking about your orchestrator setup.
Yeah. But if you're spamming, obviously spam, scams, phishing, all that's going to get you kicked. And then we just have a no strict policy on token price that is dedicated for the Telegram channel. So yeah, I mean, as for attracting stake, everyone has a different strategy. My strategy was creating educational content when I started, and trying to do things that could help other people through videos, and that kind of got me started. And so that I wasn't really a technical person, so I couldn't contribute in that way. I'm sure if Barry's was here, he would say something like what Osman basically said is be active everywhere and you'll be fine. Barry's was an early adopter. He created tooling like the Telegram bot and other types of things and guides help us build better, robust systems. Like, I don't know, however you want to contribute in the way that you can, I think is a good way of attracting, right? You just have to figure out kind of what you're good at, what your niche is, and strategy. There is also a degree of luck, like just making sure that your orchestrator is active, making branded properly, making look legit. Will just have a bias of probably delegating to nodes that maybe they feel a connection with, or that they have some sort of initial set of trust towards, right? I'm not too confident that I don't actually know the numbers, but all the unbranded nodes, the ones where it's just an ETH address, like how much new delegation do those nodes get versus one they have an ENS set up and a name, and I'm actually curious to hear about like that statistic. So just making sure your node is branded properly and it looks professional, that will just go a long way.
Yeah,
I mean,
another thing that's been forgotten as well. Just stay consistent with your reward and fee cuts as well. Don't be jumping around too much for them.
Yeah, I think people don't like it when you change your fee cut off. And you can just put it 0 and then bump it up to 100 and then put it 0, and you kind of messing people around. So being consistent, that's important. But also Sublime, like if you're a computer scientist and you have a large vast advantage of about networking and programming, and those are things that you should be advertising, right? Don't be afraid to tell people that this is right up your alley of expertise, right? That again would build trust.
Sure, I'll make sure I highlight that.
Yeah, so anyone else have opinions on how to attract stake?
I'll just remind folks that it's not easy. It's definitely hard. This is like shouting into the void. We're not sure who's going to hear it, when they hear it, and why they hear it, but you just got to be, keep consistently trying to get the message out, keep consistently trying to help in the community, demonstrate skills as Titan pointed out. I think these are definitely helpful things, but there's no magic button other than just participating and helping and doing everything you can to further the Livepeer protocol.
What's the saying? If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Right, we got 100 slots, man. That's not everyone.
It's not many. It's not many at all. So, get into the top 100 is not easy. and it's going to get harder and harder as time goes on. When I joined, I mean, it was relatively easy. I mean, minimum stake was like 2 LPT. So, but yeah, now it's 2,000, 3,000. And if we don't increase the orchestrator count, then probably continue to get more difficult. So, yeah, getting in early, being persistent, providing value, get you stake. Cool.
Finding new delegators is a good way too. Surfing in the delegators channel, a lot of folks come in there talking about how to bond, and I've always thought that one of the missing tools for the Livepeer community is for delegators, that is a one-click stake button where you can just click on Livepeer Explorer and you're on L1 with Coinbase. You want to link your wallet and have it, bridge the amount from from L1 to Arbitrum, and then from Arbitrum, then actually stake it towards a node. I think having an easy button, if you're tech savvy enough to actually make a one-click stake button, I think that would be an awesome way to get new stakers onto the platform. But at the same time, while you're onboarding new people to the platform, that'd be a good way to steer them towards your node.
The one deposit, you go from Binance wallet, just right from your wallet. You send it to a smart contract on L1, and it just automatically gets converted into L2, staked to your node.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just a button to do that. I don't know if it's through a smart contract or if it's just a series of calls to smart contracts, but having a on-ramp to get people from non-Arbitrum chains onto Arbitrum and actually delegate it with your node, I think that would be a good way to get new stake.
Yeah, that would be. And then you would just prowl the Binance Telegram when everyone is just going absolutely bananas, and you just hey, I can get you there one click, in the most non-spammy, non-fishy way you possibly can, which is that itself might be impossible, but yeah, it's giving people easier access to stake. I think is going to be a big unlock for us. Even just Arbitrum L2 is confusing for people, so yeah. Or Osman says in the chat, we need to get Binance to support LPT and Arbitrum. I think that would be huge too.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to petition Binance?
Oh,
to
like a pair, like a trading pair.
No,
right?
They already got a trading pair. No, just withdrawals and deposits off of Arbitrum, because they only do it on ETH. So you have to. So you got to think, like, you're an average, delegator or an average, purchaser of crypto. Like, you have to go from, your bank account to Binance to ETH or LPT L1, bridge L1 to L2, also bridge some ETH for gas, because you can't use Arbitrum without gas. Then, then interact with the smart contract to delegate. That's just a lot of steps for people that just have no idea that there's multiple chains. People don't even know how EVM works across different chains, and that you actually have the exact same address, right? Like, it's it's a large learning curve for this.
It's a lot of steps. It's been documented very well, and there's a path forward. But
didn't even get to keep
like I said, you just want to hit that. You want to hit that one click, boop, stake, and done. You know what I mean? Like, if it's more than that, we're gonna have a hard time bringing in grandma on Coinbase. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but have you ever tried to get non-crypto friend to stake Livepeer on a network? I had a couple of friends where they got them into here, and that was a torture.
That's what I'm talking about. He's a computer scientist. He should be able to come up with, if you're an engineer, you have coding capabilities, creating that one click button that takes the torture that Pon's referring to out of it. It's just a bear. It's a lot of work. It's hard. It's not easy to do. And it's hard, it's scary too. Like, you don't want your wallet to get compromised. You don't want you don't want to lose your money. And each step along the way, it's like waiting for those confirmations to come in and checking on Etherscan, checking on Arborscan. It's just scary. So
Yeah. So it was exactly the same thing when I was trying to help him to set up a ledger. He's got a ledger. Oh, can you set it up for me? No, I don't want to see your seed phrase. Go away. Yeah.
Zenith, Rasid, should we stop feeding her or what? She's so.
What's going on?
uh-oh.
I think that's domestic conversation going.
Oh, I see. Okay. Anyway, Sublime, do you have any more questions about your topic around strategies for attracting stake? He might have gone MIA. That's all right.
Well, good luck, man. I wish you the best. Hopefully,
Oh
you
no,
can find some stake.
I'm still here, guys. Listening.
Oh,
Cool. Okay. Well, let's continue on. Let's talk about some AI stuff. So, John, you had a topic around scaling AI and startup programs. Tell us what your thoughts are and what your topic is about.
Yeah, hey everybody. So Brad's been working on getting remote workers to function, and I know that previously in their AI build, there was external container functionality. I think that stopped working at one point, but I was curious if anybody else has been using external containers. I actually got it to work over the weekend with the help of what Brad's been working on. And I think sometime early this week, we should be able to merge that and get some docs up. But just wanted to throw that concept out there of, connecting, let's say you have, one AI orchestrator and maybe you can just fit 2 GPUs in that, or just one, depending on your power. With something like this, that's going to allow us to scale so that you can connect your friend's GPU to your orchestrator and that kind of thing. So not exactly the same concept as a remote worker where it's, transcoders can kind of come and go. But it does allow us to scale as orchestrators. So I wasn't sure if anybody had been using that in an older version.
I have. I've been using it. I still use it today. I mean, I had I set up a 4090 at the house, and I have some GPUs that I was 4090s I was renting in the cloud. I was doing some testing with H100s in the cloud as well. And to your point is having an orchestrator, that's not running the containers locally is definitely the way to do that and be able to point, an orchestra. Now, again, the stuff Brad's working on for remote AI workers is more akin to the transcoder, transcoder orchestrator communication, where the transcoders connect to the orchestrator, but the AI runner stuff is the orc talks to the runner. So it's probably not ideal for pools, but it is definitely a good way that you can set up multiple GPUs with, even if they're local or remote, they could be in a totally different data center if you want. And that's been how I've been using it. And I still use it today that way. But I don't know if it's because I have a private fork, because I forked a repo and I've been, tweaking with pipelines myself and playing with them and using them and building out new ones. So I don't know if something's broken in the latest releases, but I've been trying to keep current. So, but it works pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear. I figured some other people were using it. I wasn't really familiar with it. I'd seen the term but until last week or so. We started working on this. So I think that's good to bring awareness around that. All the orchestrators that are running AI nodes is if we can get to where we use external containers, that'll allow us to each have multiple models running, provide a lot more capacity. So I hope to get some docs up this week on that. And I know Brad has a separate branch out there for external container. I think there are some fixes that are going in this week, separate from the AI remote worker feature.
Yeah,
But
I think we're one of the few in the proud testing out these kinds of features. I think folks are following the documentation that Rick put forward with the managed containers. I think you venture off into the wild, unbeaten path when you're doing externally managed containers. But I do have a Docker Compose stack that I could share if you aren't using Docker Compose, that has, starting the runner by itself, passing the appropriate flags, and then also starting the orchestrator in a way that allows it to just talk to those existing containers that are already running. So if you don't have it, just let me know and I'll shoot it in the chat. But if you do, then I think it's just good to have Docker Compose. Makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, we definitely need some code examples for, some configuration examples for every different way that people run it. One of the things I ran into was that, the AI models config, you can pass optimization flags like SFAST and stuff, but when you start an external container, you actually have to pass that as an environment variable.
That's
into the Docker
correct.
container. Otherwise, you might assume that SFAST is turned on when it's really not. So that's stuff will be good to put in the docs.
Yeah, absolutely. Documentation does not exist for the externally managed containers. And that was something that I thought either Brad was going to work on, or maybe once the code was released, to the main branch, I was going to take a crack at doing some documentation as well. But I think vetting it out, I didn't want to go too far because I knew that the remote OT like setup is critical for pools and critical for onboarding large amounts of GPU. So I figured I'd wait for the dust to settle there before trying to move people towards this orchestrator runner setup, because I personally believe that this is not the ideal setup. I think, once these new rounds of updates come in for remote workers that Brad's working on, I think that's going to be more in alignment with the current architecture with a remote transcoder. So I wouldn't advise folks to go down this path, but it's definitely, for me, it's been a lot easier to manage the current AI runner doing it with externally managed containers. But like I said, I'd rather get to the OT split that we're all familiar with, but using the runner instead of the transcoder.
Hey guys, for what it's worth, I didn't send it to everybody because it adds layers of complexity that are kind of hard to figure out when things go wrong. But Mike, what's the plan is that's basically going to move down to the transcoder level. Like it's still going to work that way, but not at the orchestrator. So you can either do managed containers or the external containers at the transcoder / remote AI worker level. Some of the flags are going to change. They're not going to be the exact same, but
That's what I was saying.
it'll-
Just kind of wait until the dust settles a little bit before start moving off to these externally managed containers.
Yeah, and one of us will do documentation. I'm sure. I'm just waiting for it to get a little bit farther along through the review process to not have to rewrite.
Yeah. But he's
Yeah.
always looking for beta testers.
Yeah, if you really want to go for a venture, I can send you down one if you want to.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for helping with the docs, and I was just so thrilled when I got that working, and I kind of had to read a lot of code to figure it out myself, but that definitely helped unlock capacity for my node.
Yeah, it's not super straightforward, but once you do it once, it starts to make sense on how it works. I mean, I remember when I first did it, it took me like a week to feel comfortable with it, but now it's all I run.
Yep, same here. It took me a little while to kind of put the puzzle pieces together, but once I figured it out, it's been pretty good to keep it this way.
Now, is the work for remote AI workers a totally separate branch from the external container fix that's done?
Mm,
They're kind of tied together.
yes, I think it might depend on it to some degree, but it's not a. I think it can be pulled out what actually depends on it. I think from the top of my head, the dependency is and Mike, I did change the wording on that. No managed containers. To avoid double negatives, but I think the dependency is when you're using external containers, you're not going to want it to fail over to manage containers. Now, this would only come into play when you might be running the transcoder and AI worker on a single process, because there's only one right now. There's only one flag to specify NVIDIA GPUs that is used for both. There's other ways around this, but right now and what I like is to be able to turn off managed containers, because it'll go into a timeout loop that is kind of long right now. Of course, we're still early stages in all this. All of this can change, going down the road based on feedback and stuff. So if anybody has any ideas or requests.
But Brad, I think to get more specific to his question is the managed containers branch that you played around with, that branch is probably not going to merge in, right? I think the changes going into that remote worker will ultimately merge in your managed containers changes too, right?
Yeah, most of the remote worker versus that, like the other way I did it with the orchestrator still being like the centerpiece, right? That is separate, and that's not going to likely survive. Now, this AI worker repo stuff that we're talking about, the fixed external containers, most of it's in that. I believe most of that's going to come over and still apply.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was hoping for, because I thought we could probably merge that really soon, and I'd be happy to help with docs. And then, it sounded like, because the title of the branch was fix external containers, I assumed there was something wrong with them.
Yeah, there was a context problem or something. Like, it was timing out. Before I did this, it was time out at the first polling of 500 milliseconds. That was the first thing, and then it was just a couple other smallish type fixes to get it the rest of the way and be more reliable. Like, the initial implementation would assume that you have unlimited GPUs behind that external container, which will work on certain services, or if you have your own management type API or process in between the actual containers and go Livepeer. But in my case, I didn't have that management layer, and my containers could only run. They don't auto spin up or auto, spin down. So the other big change was just putting a capacity check to make sure that container wasn't in use at the current moment. Those were the two big things, I think.
Okay, great. Yeah, great work on that. I think it would be great for the subnet. I've heard that we may have sort of a supply crunch in the next weeks as we continue to bring more and more work on the network. So I think this is something that's going to be a force multiplier, because orchestrators will be able to bring on at least double or more capacity.
Yeah, and we're also working on so an orchestrator can run, if they want to run managed containers, they can run multiple of the same container on like one remote AI worker. So if you had 2 GPUs, you can run text to image on both the same model. So trying to fix the supply crunch problems or issues that might come up.
That is a powerful idea. One thing that came to my mind in my research was, with 3090s, you can use NVLink and connect them together and make like a larger GPU out of it. I'm not too familiar with how to leverage that, but I understand there are some different ways that you have to interface with and the GPU through Stable Diffusion to take advantage of that NVLink. But if we could do stuff like that, then orchestrators could have, I guess, what is it, like 48 gigs of VRAM?
Yeah.
And they could run a couple models.
Because you can, on 48 gigs, you could stack 3 text to image containers of like the RealViz one. I think it uses about 16 gigabytes. If you can NVLink 3090s together and get all the cores with that, I'd be interested to see what that looks like. Because when I stack 3 on a A6000, if you hit them all at once, it's just a third of the iterations per second.
Yep, divided by 3.
Yeah,
That's what I found testing
so it's like
as
good
well.
and bad. Maybe with the jitter of like requests don't always come in at the same time, it would be okay. But if it gets hit all at once, it's just slow. But 2 3090s is probably double or more the cores than an A6000. So it'd be interesting on that.
have you done any NVLink stuff, John? Have you gotten any of that stuff like daisy chain using that? Have you tested that at all, or are you just researching it?
Yeah, it's just been research at this point.
Okay.
I've been going with the 4090s because they're hot and fast, but really thinking about some 3090 builds with NVLink. But it sounds like there is something we need to put in the runner to leverage the power of that. Otherwise, it just kind of slows it down.
Yeah, I was playing with custom runner code as well. I did a lot of tweaking and playing around with it. I was able to load two models, like an upscale model and an image to video model, or a text to image model on a single 4090, and I was playing around with like flushing the NVIDIA VRAM after each job runs, and that allows you to like keep those models warm, take jobs in. But as Brad pointed out, if you're getting 2, 3, 4 jobs at the same time with different models warm, it can really get close to, if not also running out of VRAM. So I'd be curious to see if NV linking multiple GPUs together gives you the cores and the VRAM, or is it just like, there's got to be some limitations there, but I don't have the hardware to play with that. So if you do get some experience there, I'd be real curious to know what you found.
Yeah, I've read there's kind of like two different ways or modes that it can run in. I would probably butcher the technical piece of it, but it's kind of like the difference between you can have a lot of capacity or you can go faster. Which one do you want? I think is what the options are. I could be wrong with that, but yeah, it's kind of like, if you put 2 hard drives on a RAID configuration, there's a few different options there for redundancy versus speed.
Yeah. No, I understand. Like I said, though, that's an area where I think we'll definitely, more advanced orchestrators will probably be looking at those details. But I think in general, that might not be the commonplace.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, the external container idea to give us capacity. There's been a lot of great work in that area. Yeah, thanks.
Ooh, good topic.
Just real quick at the chat, Papa Bear said a comment about how do you like update models right now, and it is pain. You have to restart the orchestrator to do it, and there's no way around that at the current moment. But I just wanted to plug that the remote AI worker automatically updates what is served by the orchestrator and the capacity available without restarting the orchestrator.
And does that also mean you don't need the AI model JSON? I know that's
You're gonna
that's
need.
I hate
You're
that
gonna
file.
need. You're gonna need pricing. The pricing
Yeah.
coming up from the worker doesn't really make sense to me. I'm happy to hear arguments the other way. I could
No,
definitely
I'm in
see this.
agreement. The orchestrator's the governor of pricing. You know what I mean? You can't delegate that to the worker. That's
'Cause I felt
probably
like
not a good idea.
if you had a pool participant that just wanted to charge $1 million, or, $1 million more or 10 million more, you'd be like, well, it's gonna be like whack-a-mole. They're just gonna keep joining and changing your price.
Yeah, no, I didn't think it makes sense to have the worker controlling the price. I mean, again, though, that's an area where there could be some use cases that make sense, especially if you got some massive workloads running on a GPU farm, or you got some specialized hardware or software setup. You might want to charge more, but I think if you're doing that, you probably should be brokering with the orchestrator to come up with a price for your model.
Yeah, that is true. And right now, I have it set at the orchestrator. Now, this is also to change. Rick's looking at it. It's going to go through Yondon too, but just to kind of think out loud, I have it set up to be very similar to the price per broadcaster, where you can set a price per gateway, per capability, per constraint, or you can set them as defaults. So you can kind of do it either way. You have to set a capability price though, but you can price an entire capability the same price. So you can just set one price for a capability and change
And
it
is
as
that
needed.
pipeline and model, or is that?
Yeah, and pipelines translate to capabilities.
Oh, okay, but
So
the
each
model
pipeline is
doesn't factor in.
it does. You can factor that in, or you can
Okay.
choose to just say, I'm going to price text to image all at whatever price, and then change it either per gateway, or
Oh wow.
altogether per model. So I mean, this is more complex. It's not like transcoding where it's a homogeneous thing, right? We had one price, all transcoding went through that price.
Yeah, now you got so many permutations now.
I'm trying to keep it like the easy way out as possible. So if you just don't care that much about getting granular, you can say all gateways for this capability are going to get in, no matter the model, it's going to get this price. That's my goal. And then if you want to go wild and price everything individually, you can do that. There's going to be you can change it through the CLI, and also the you can do it through like a webhook endpoint on the CLI server.
Cool.
Papa Bear says the problem with NVLink is NVIDIA got rid of it on new consumer cards, so it might not be the effort to spend too much time optimizing for it.
Oh, that stinks.
Papa
Yeah,
Bear.
the 4090 and the Lovelace architecture doesn't have it. I don't know if they'll bring it back in newer architectures,
I
but
thought they changed how they did it. Like they moved it to a different chip that's more server centric.
They can't sell H100s if you can just daisy chain a whole bunch of 4090s. You know what I mean? That
Right.
don't sound good from a business
They're-
perspective.
They are good at
They've
making
got all
money.
this Blackwell stuff coming along, right? So they're probably
Yeah.
just getting everything moved over there.
yeah.
We're buying a Blackwell, boys. Let's go treasury funds. Who's got
Let's go.
Let's go treasury funds.
the treasury funds? We got to start by buying the motherboard that can handle it. So what's that cost? Couple billion. Yeah, basically, that sucks. Papa Bear, you really ruined everything.
John,
Nah, he saved us
if
a
you want to put
headache.
four
We got it
3090s on
already.
one thing.
No. He saved us a lot of time, so he's the savior. But he ruined it because this was a good idea. So he told us it's not going to work.
Yeah, but if I can get three 3090s chained together and they can outperform a single 4090 or even a double 4090, that's still pretty compelling.
Yeah, I think they even removed it from workstation cards too, just data center. So you probably are saying only the data center cards you can daisy chain with NVM link.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah, man. If we can figure out a way to daisy chain 3090s, yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, daisy chains 3090s would be pretty interesting because they're coming down in price a lot. They've gotten a lot cheaper.
Well, when the Fit 550 series comes out, the 4090 is going to go down and the 3090 is going to drop even further. So you might be scooping them up like we were scooping up 1080s for transcoding.
I'll have to confirm, but I can't do it in the car. Okay, fair enough. Note, I'm surprised you're even texting and driving, sir. You better be pulled over right now.
He's a passenger.
Well, then he should be looking this shit up right now. Come on, man.
Oh, remember, this is the dude at sloth speed typing on a computer, so you can only imagine how slow he's going to be on a phone.
just taking shots at Papa Bear for it's Mrs. Papa.
Oh,
oh,
it's like
man.
barking off transcriptions to the wife. That's rough.
Dude, oh, no wonder the grammar is so much better. No, I was kidding.
Oh man,
that's awesome. It's too funny. Okay, well, Mrs. and Mr. Papa Bear, enjoy your travels. But yeah, that's good information. So thank you for sharing with us. Yes. Well, I'm really curious as to how the consumer cards are even going to fit into the AI narrative in general. Just the fact that they're consumer cards itself kind of brings an interesting bar of, like, if someone could generate stuff on their own PC, soon there's going to be accessible software to do that. So why do you need a cloud compute if you can just run it locally? Maybe cloud compute would be for those higher end things that you can't get at a consumer available place, right? So
I think the argument's the same when it comes to transcoding, right? Like today, you can get a FFmpeg installed on your PC, and but you got to compile it with NVIDIA and the proper drivers, and like I think it just becomes that much easier when you can point to an API endpoint and say, post this data, get my response locally, right? Like if I have a 4090, a 30.
is it me cutting out, or is that Mike?
He's cutting out for me too.
Decentralized, decentralized infrastructure.
Yeah, it's interesting, but at the same time, like, Livepeer doesn't target individual users of their own, FFmpeg needs, right? We're targeting apps that can't trust that the user has this type of capability, right? So, we bring the standard of, okay, we can install FFmpeg and we can create, systems around that scale, but like people that are doing image generation, they're not pushing it through the internet like a live stream would. Like they're really only using it for their own use, right? So if you could buy a 4090 and use it for your own use, then the fact that you could daisy chain 3 or 4 or 5 3090s would be the benefit of it, right?
Yeah, that all just means more speed, faster response time. And again, that's got to scale with customers too. So I think that's been one of the missing components in our subnet is that let's get that large customer onboarded. And then, I think the number of GPUs we have right now will get tapped out. You know what I mean? Like I've seen when we had a couple events where Livepeer Cloud was getting a lot of traffic from a lot of different sources, I saw some, servers unavailable messages coming back, because you start getting enough requests in there, you'll start to tap out the numbers that we have right now. But again, that's dependent on getting a customer in that's going to be driving demand. So when we start to see that demand curve going up, I can tell you right now, there are going to be some people looking to bring online more GPUs very quickly.
Bada boom, bada bing. There you go. All right. That was the topic around AI, scaling AI and startup programs for John. Did you talk about the startup programs?
It was just loosely aligned with that. I don't really have much to add as far as startup programs, though we did launch today and we are starting to interact with our two startup partners that'll be bringing work to the network. So it's an exciting time, exciting start to the month.
Very cool. Pawn, you had a topic around the new broadcaster and traffic. You want to quickly talk about what you're seeing?
Well, hi, sorry. Yeah, so we all seen that we have way more traffic in EU region and quite heavy streams as well, 1080p, 1080p plus. I'm just wondering, do we have any updates what's happening in the United States or other regions? Just because I can't see any demand going up in there, at least on my node.
I mean, my demand is just Frankfurt.
Yeah, so
Overwhelming.
Seeing exactly the same thing. Yeah, seeing exactly the same thing as I do as well. When probably we all see the same.
I can concur. I think that's been my assessment is we've been seeing a lot of EU Frankfurt region, ramping up, but LA, New York, MDW, pretty slow to non-existent.
Yeah, just we all been excited and waiting for it, and it just kind of died off. So no new updates or anything. So we're just trying to see has anyone heard anything.
I
Always
heard
problem.
something.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you already know about this, but I I was writing something on the channel, and my orchestrator contacted me and told me, you probably already know this, but he said that I'm not comfortable copying and pasting what he told me, but okay, so he said that, so he gave names, so I'm not going to give names, but he said, okay, XYZ owns ABC. XYZ is the name of the holding company, ABC is the name of the application. They are working hard on the root level implementing this tech. FFmpeg he's talking about. Also, FFmpeg is going to be updated into Livepeer soon. This guy will save us. And he sent me a guy's tweet, Josh Allman on Twitter. And he's actually doing stuff on GitHub. And the subject is rebase Livepeer changes to FFmpeg version 701 by Josh. And I asked a bunch of idiot questions to him, and he told me, no, they don't invent new codecs. Livepeer is already using FFmpeg at its core, but it's very outdated version, 3 years old. It's responsible for the transcoding work at its heart. So now they are finally updating it, which is not trivial. But seeing collaboration between ABC engineers, which is the name of the holding company, and FFmpeg is clear that they are working on this before they go into full production. That's good news because Livepeer also benefits because of that. And seeing FFmpeg updated into Livepeer after those XYZ engineer updates to FFmpeg means they are doing it because they need it for ABC, which is the name of the application. So people are working on it in collaboration with Livepeer Studio. This FFmpeg stuff, or AV1 maybe, I don't know. And they're going to first do it for the application. And the holding company knows this. And they hired somebody which also knows about Livepeer. So they're working in collaboration with each other. And my orchestrator says that after this has all been completed, it's going to start, really. So that's what he says to me. And he calmed me down this week. Yeah, that's all I know.
I can speak on a little bit of this. So Josh worked on a lot of the original implementation of the FFmpeg part, and he took what I had done where I got stuck, and I think he's going to get the FFmpeg upgrade over the finish line, which will allow us to then add the AV1 and stuff like that. But there's a lot of years of updates to go through, and there were some relatively hard things to unravel in that. I think I couldn't do it. I think he got it though. I think he figured it out. So I think the FFmpeg is pretty close. At least that upgrade. That does not bring AV1 specifically, but it does upgrade FFmpeg to the latest.
And that's work that's ongoing in the Livepeer GitHub repos now?
I think he's got to pull. You got to look on LPMS for
Yes.
the FFmpeg stuff.
Yeah, there's a pull
Cool.
request.
Yeah, he just put it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. I didn't realize some external folks were working on that. That's good news.
Yeah. I put up the white flag. I asked for help. Said I need help.
Oh, the cavalry's coming home. All right.
They needed to do it anyway. I think I got pretty close, but this stuff's hard, man.
Yeah, I know. I looked at it at one point. Well, I'm not a C programmer. Years and years ago I was, but man, that stuff's that's no joke.
And Osmond, I don't know anything about any specific feature that they want. But I would imagine there's gonna be some cool things coming down the pike when this gets upgraded, because a lot of things have changed since they last implemented this. A lot more things
So
in there.
I think they're gonna first have to complete this, and then the application will really be able to work on Livepeer. That's what I understand from his message.
Could be. I don't know anything specific about that, but there will be a rollout with this. I'm sure. I'm sure there'll be a little bit more testing because this is quite a big change, quite a big update. Can't always know all the variables that go into, get sent in all the time.
Keep on screaming at them, Osman. Get those answers for us, man.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool. All right, where are we at? Topics? Yeah, that was the new broadcaster topic by Pawn. Yeah. Any other comments or questions on that topic? All right.
Do you guys know that sorry, Titan. Do you guys know that the owner of the application is a really big one? Like, they're really big.
I mean,
Even
they
I
said
know
they were a top 10 streamer, content.
Yeah,
I don't know the right word.
I didn't know the name of the app, but I knew the name of the company that owns them. So
I swear
This is
Brad
good.
and I met him. I swear that was him, Brad. Like,
No, I don't think it was
you
because
sure?
I saw one of the bad clips. I captured one on my orchestrator, and it's not the guy we met.
Okay. All right. All right.
Not yet. So maybe that one's still coming.
All right. All
Who
right.
knows?
You sure? Okay. I was about to give him a hat.
I think you guys already know everything. So
Cool.
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
me and Titan met a random guy at Denver, and he said they were integrating, but we didn't get much more information past that. So now we're just waiting for them to show up.
That's right. And it's his business model, and what he said was like, oh, you might be a big one. And he's just like, all right, bye. And then it was like,
Yeah.
all right, dude, where are you? Come back. Apply for the Livepeer Innovators now. Come on. Yeah. Okay, cool. There you go. That's that topic. Great. I think we've gone through all the topics now. So, any other comments or questions before we sign off? Papa Bear, Mrs. Bear says, Josh is an OG Livepeer contributor. Look back at Livepeer's GitHub. I believe, big deal. Great to have him back. Is he back, or is he just trying to help us?
He's just trying to, as far as I understand, he's just trying to help us through this part. Yeah, I don't know what the engagement entails or not specifically.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and end it there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's Water Cooler Chat, where we're trying to make Livepeer the open and decentralized video infrastructure for the world. Appreciate you all being here, and I know Anna's gone, but I appreciate their Q&A, and we're good to see them around. So, thank you for joining. We'll see you all next week. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all.